Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay from Dimensional Insight. In this video, we're tackling how to work with a measure factory configuration file. Understanding this is key to efficiently managing your data sets, rules, and measures. Now, I'll hand it over to my colleague Alyssa Mintz for the full tutorial.
In this demonstration, you'll learn how to work with a measure factory configuration file. We'll briefly cover the editing of rules and measures, switching between the measure factory editor and text editor views of a configuration file, and tracing the connections between rules that depend upon each other. A measure factory configuration file specifies the datasets you want to work with and the rules and measures you want to apply to those datasets. Let's take a look at a configuration file that underpins a healthcare application. The configuration file, also called a factory file, is located in the config folder of the Measure Factory project. We'll double-click the factory file name cfg.factory to open the file. The Measures page opens, showing a list of the 9 measures currently in our sample factory file. The list shows the category, name, scope, and definition of each measure, as well as the function used in the measure and the filter used to filter the data the measure acts upon. You can create, copy, or delete a measure using the command buttons on the right. To begin editing an existing measure, you double-click the entry for that measure. Let's double-click the entry for Overall Payer Case Mix. The detail pane for the Overall Payer Case Mix measure opens on the right. In this detail pane, we can change all the attributes of our measure. We can change its category, scope, calculation, and filter, specify the good direction, and change the format, definition, and description. For now, we'll leave the measure as is and return to the expanded view of the measures list. To do this, we'll click Measures here. The detail pane closes and the measure list expands to the edge of the screen. Now let's take a look at the Rules page. A list of all the rules in the current Measure Factory project appears on the screen. For each rule, the list shows the rule name, rule type, the dataset the rule belongs to, and the parent. The parent is the component in which the rule is defined and varies by rule type. For source rules and calc rules, the parent is the dataset they belong to. For link rules, the parent is the link name. For lookup rules, the lookup name. For flag rules, the flag table name, and for plugin rules, the plugin name. You can create, copy, or delete a rule using the command buttons on the right. You can also begin editing a rule the same way you begin editing a measure, by double-clicking it in the list. Let's double-click the calc rule Inpatient Account in Dataset Accounts. The detail pane for the rule opens on the right. In this detail pane, we can change all the attributes of the rule. We can change its name, the dataset it belongs to, the contents of the calc field, the definition and description of the rule, and any governance information. For now, we'll leave the rule as is and return to the expanded view of the rules list. To do this, we'll click Rules here. The detail pane closes and the rules list expands to the edge of the screen. Let's take a closer look at the default order in which the rules are listed on the Rules page. They're not in alphabetical order by rule name, rule type, dataset, or parent. So what governs the way Measure Factory lists them here? To answer this question, we need to look at the underlying text file, which we can do using one of the view switcher icons, the text editor icon. The text editor view of the factory file shows the underlying script. We can now see that dataset edlog is the first dataset defined in the file, and that the dataset includes source rules only, beginning with account ID and ending with ed departure time. This structure defines the default order in which the Measure Factory editor displays and organizes the rules on the Rules page. You're not confined to this order in the Measure Factory editor, however. There are lots of ways to reorganize rules and measures to make them easier to find and work with. If necessary, you can make changes in the text editor view of the factory file, as well as in the Measure Factory editor view, although we recommend you use the Measure Factory editor view whenever possible. Let's go back to the Measure Factory editor view of our factory file. Now let's take a look at the Datasets page. The pane on the left lists all the datasets in use in the current Measure Factory project. We can see that this project includes the datasets edlog, accounts, orlog, and charges, and that edlog is the currently selected dataset. The center pane shows information about the dataset selected in the pane on the left. Here we can see, for example, that the edlog dataset includes 12 source rules, but no other types of rules. Let's select the orlog dataset. The center pane now shows information on the orlog dataset, revealing that it has 11 source rules, 2 calc rules, and 1 link rule. To see still more detail about the rules in a dataset, we can click a chevron next to the name of a rule type. We can now see the names of the 2 calc rules in the orlog dataset, OP surgical case and IP surgical case. Let's return to the Measures page to explore another way of navigating in the factory file. Let's say you want to examine the rules that a measure is built on. We'll use measure overall payer case mix as an example. The detail pane opens on the right, and the name of the measure is highlighted on the left. This measure averages the values returned by a calc rule called overall payer case mix total. If we wanted to examine this calc rule more closely, we could click the rule name. Let's do that now. The Rules page opens, showing us the detail pane for calc rule overall payer case mix total and highlighting the name of the rule on the left. This area records our recent actions, showing us we started our journey on the Measures page, opened Measure Overall Payer Case Mix, and then opened Calc Rule Overall Payer Case Mix Total. We call these items breadcrumbs. The detail pane shows us that this calc rule is composed of 2 other rules, discharge and CMS-MS DRG weight. Let's find out more about rule discharge. The detail pane now shows information on calc rule discharge. Also notice that discharge now appears as a breadcrumb as well. Calc rule discharge references 2 other rules, admission and discharge date. Let's click Admission to learn more about it. The detail pane now shows information on calc rule admission, and admission now appears as a breadcrumb as well. Now let's say we want to retrace our steps and look again at the measure we were analyzing. We can do that by clicking the back arrow 3 times. Measure Factory returns us to the detail pane for Measure Overall Payer Case Mix. If we wanted to re-explore the rules we looked at as a part of our investigation of this measure, we could use the forward arrow. We'll click it 3 times. Information on Calc Rule Admission reappears on the screen. So that's how you work with a factory file. You select and edit rules and measures on the Rules and Measures pages, use the View Switcher icons to toggle between the Measure Factory Editor and Text Editor views, trace the connections between rules by clicking rule names in the Calc field in the Detail pane, and review the relationships between rules using the forward and back arrows.
And that's how you navigate a Measure Factory configuration file. If you found this tutorial helpful, consider giving us a like and subscribe to our channel for more information-packed videos. And we'd love to hear what you found most helpful. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Remember, we're here to help you maximize your data analytics journey, so keep tuning in to our videos. See you next time.